Peace, peace. You are now tuned into the City Sultan podcast, where our purpose is cultivating leaders and our focus is spirituality, divine masculine, and leadership. In today's episode, we'll be discussing 9 steps to creating a profitable business plan. I am City Bliss.
I'm City Stone.
Bless. This is City Rock and King Blue Lotus. City Blue Lotus will be joining us shortly.
So 9 steps to creating a profitable business plan. Touching into entrepreneurship, which is powerful and necessary at this time, having this energy of sovereignty and really being a leader within your home, a leader within your community. And I think entrepreneurship is definitely a powerful and positive step in that direction. So I think it's great we're having this conversation tonight, brother.
Absolutely.
For real.
Absolutely.
Because either you're an entrepreneur or you're working for somebody else. Mm-hmm. Either you're an entrepreneur or you're giving your time and your energy to somebody else who's making more than you.
Which is not a judgment at all. Which is not a bad.
It's not.
Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. But if you feel like you have a product or service, or that you want to be of a higher in terms of financial bracket, or you want to create and circulate generational wealth with your family, that it is something that it would be most conducive to that.
Absolutely. And I feel like part of being an entrepreneur, but even before we get into the business plan steps, is that you have to know your purpose, which we covered on the second episode. You have to know your why, because if you don't know why you're here and what you're here to do, then many businesses who start just because they want money, or many people who become entrepreneurs just because they want money, generally don't end up doing too well. So I think knowing your purpose, knowing your why, and knowing that you're here to serve, as we said in that last episode, knowing that you're here to serve will help align you and kind of help you to have business ideas, so that you will know what you have a benefit for the people.
True say.
Absolutely.
True say. Because I believe if you're thinking about money, all you're thinking about is features. You're thinking about the features of your product or service. But when you start thinking about your actual customer, when you start thinking about the people who will be using your product or service, now your mind starts thinking about the benefits. You know what I mean? For example, you're thinking if you're a fitness consultant or somebody, a personal trainer, you're thinking about your features. You can call me 24/7, or I have this type of drink for you, or this type of supplement, as opposed to those are features. But a benefit is you lose weight, better circulation, better sleep, you have better sex. Those are the benefits of using your service, and you won't think of that if you're thinking from the mindset of money as opposed to people over profits.
Right, because I feel like if you're just thinking about the money, you're just going to be putting things out just for the sake of putting them out to get profits in, but the quality will be a little, depleted.
Yeah, it won't have enough love in it.
Exactly.
Because love is also consideration. So, when you actually love what you're doing, you considering every aspect of what could happen. You know what I mean? Like, you really thinking about, like, what can I do to connect to this person to help humanity? You know what I mean? Because part of being an entrepreneur and, with finding something that people have not done yet. Yeah. Finding fixes to people's issues, whatever that issue may be. But,
that actually reminds me of City M, when you getting your hair cut, right? And a barber he didn't mess you up, but you were just like, man, I don't know what's wrong, man. He ain't putting no love in it. And later on, you were like, wait a second, I know what it was. He didn't ask me how I wanted my goatee. He didn't ask me how I wanted my beard. He didn't have that level of consideration, and I feel like it was lack of love. But if he had the consideration to ask me and not just want the money I'm going to give him for the cut, but actually as the person getting the cut, because you know I'm gonna walk around like this for about 2 weeks or plus. That how do you what shape do you want your goatee? What shape do you want your back? That's the love. That's the people of a prophet's mindset that manifests itself in something as simple as a haircut.
People of a prophet's mindset.
See, I wasn't thinking about it like that, man. I just wanted a haircut. I just wanted a good haircut, man. Sheesh. You
Right?
see,
That takes it to a whole nother level, brothers.
this is the mind of a genius right here.
Yeah.
This is the mind of some geniuses. You're able to take something that is either complicated and make it concise, or take something that's very concise and expound upon it in a way that shows more than what was initially seen. You know, so with that being said, moving forward, I just do want to get into some of these questions here, and we're talking about how to create a business plan. So an entrepreneur generally is somebody who has a business. A business is someone who's exchanging a product or a service for value, for some sort of monetary value. So the first question we have here, or no, not the first question, but the first part that we have here is the executive summary. And in the executive summary, so write that down. If y'all watching, y'all go, whoever's watching or listening, you want to write that down. The executive summary. Now, your executive summary is there to describe the goal or the mission of your business, and in just a couple of sentences. So you've gotten to the point where, okay, how do I want to help customers? How do I want to help humanity? How is this business existing to serve? Right? Anybody else want to chime in on that?
Yeah, and you want to put it very simply. You want to take that goal, that vision, that mission that you have for your business and the service you want to provide, and you want to make it very concise, right to the point, so that you'll be able to deliver it clearly without any misunderstandings, and it clicks right away. This is what I'm doing. This is what my business is going to do. This is how it's going to make change. Very simple.
The simpler, the better.
Exactly.
Because we live in a world where now in 2020, there's many distractions, and everything is fighting for attention. Like I tell people all the time, I'm like, yo, listen, if your website or your name of your brand is either too long, or it's not very familiar or clear. Sometimes not familiar can help, because it can make, like Haagen-Dazs made a whole new realm.
Right.
Granted, it was a name, but if people can't, I don't even know how to type that into YouTube, Haagen-Dazs. But sometimes longevity will outlast some marketing, some certain kind of marketing tools. Like sometimes the longevity, people been around for so long, it'll just ring a bell. But you want something that is simple and clear cut and straight to the point, so that people can get it immediately. City Rod, do you have any?
So I definitely feel that the executive summary is actually the most important part of your business plan. The executive summary is where you are outlining the problem that you are solving, and how you are realistically solving it. A subset of the executive summary is a document called the proof of concept, which goes at the front of your business plan, which is a more, even more concise statement of your executive summary. Now, if we're going to break down what your executive summary is going to consist of, it's going to consist of, you're going to describe your concepts, you're going to define your customers, you're going to establish the market size, and then you're also going to show your ability to scale. Remember that the reason that you're writing an executive summary is not only to clarify your business for yourself, but it's to clarify the business for your suppliers and your investors. The people who want to, and also your partners, the people who want to get into business with you. Now, if you can do all these things, if you can define your customers and describe your concepts realistically, then you're at the best place to definitely move forward in terms of the growth of your business. We can definitely continue, but I even have a checklist in terms of what you need for the executive summary as well, because it is the most important part of your business plan. So grab attention in the opening sentences, right? You're gonna want to grab attention in the opening sentences of your business plan. What I have with me right here are the 12 most persuasive words or most attention-grabbing words in the English language, and those are, you can write this down: you, money, save, results, health, easy, love, discovery, proven, new, safety, and guarantee. Now, this is just to get your mind moving in terms of how can I most engage in you want to grab attention in the first 30 seconds that someone begins reading your executive summary. And so you need to have something that will bring in your investors, because when someone's reading a business plan, let's say it's an investor, they read a lot of business plans. So if you don't grab their attention in the first 30 seconds or even less, they're probably not going to read it, or they're not going to read it in totality. They probably won't invest in your company. So you want to grab attention, right? So boom. Like I said earlier, clearly describe the purpose of your business, define your customer, define the value proposition, which is the benefit or the problem you're solving, and then define the distribution strategy, right? Persuade that your team can handle the implementation of your business, right? So if you may have an amazing idea, but if you don't have the right team to implement, and you don't show that they also have past achievements that can show that they can implement your business in the right way, then investors will not be as keen to investing in your business, right? Does your market analysis support your business concept and demonstrate demand?
Absolutely.
Demonstrate how your service is distributed. Demonstrate how your marketing plan can reach potential customers and create long-term relationships. Convince the reader of the return on investment in the financial plan and long-term potential, and demonstrate diversification in the growth plan. Now,
I'm going to hold you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, brother. I didn't mean to cut you off. Continue. I got excited for a second.
That was just that's just the executive summary checklist, and I do agree that the executive summary should be concise, but it should definitely hit on these points. You don't have to. Conciseness and brevity is definitely needed, but if you want to go the extra mile, you can have a long executive summary where you break down all the idiosyncrasies of your business, because that's what will get investors like, he knows what he's talking about. He's very knowledgeable about his business. He's done his research. And so that'll, even for me as an investor, that would make me more keen to investing in your business as well. So.
Absolutely. Some keys you just dropped there, man. There's some gems right there, man. Man, see, this is why I look to City Raw when I don't know what I'm doing, man.
I love the attention-grabbing words, brother.
Absolutely. Those things.
Definitely made a note of those myself.
Yeah, no, I was typing them as you were saying them.
No, this is actually from the book Covert Persuasion, psychological tricks and tactics to win the game. Not only included are those 12, but not included are actually entire page of the most comprehensive list for sales, marketing, and other forms of communication. I'm not gonna go in, but I'm just gonna let you look for yourself. But these are the most persuasive words in the English language, and they have here almost more than 30 words here. I only just introduced the first 12 for time. But you might want to definitely purchase this book, Covert Persuasion, Psychological Tricks and Tactics to Win the Game.
Powerful. And that leads us into the second aspect that we need to be familiar with in regard to building a business plan. You have to know who are your customers.
Right.
You have to know who your customers are, but not only who your customers are, You want to know what demographic they're in. You want to know what music they're listening to. And this actually gets into like high level marketing, we will reach. But you want to know who you're targeting. You want to know who's it by. You want to know your clients. You want to know whether your clients, whether you will have regular clients or whether you will have like one-off buyers. Like, all right, one person is going to buy this and then they're going to need, you want to know those things. And I always think that it's better to have clients personally, because you have people that are continuously coming back, as opposed to just somebody who's just going to grab something and then leave and not need it for another, it depends on your business model though. And make sure that even before you create your business plan, that you've spoken to some potential customers, so that you could actually have that connection with that which you're supplying, with those people who you're supplying. And also you want to know whether your customers will be consumers or businesses, because that's another thing. Because if they're businesses, or who will you target within those companies, and like what what strategy would you take, as opposed to if you were to create a strategy if it was just a customer, because maybe you're writing a business plan for a salesperson, or maybe maybe you're writing it for a CEO. Like you want to know all of these things. So and how to communicate with them. You were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's an example of a situation where one would be writing a business plan and it's directed towards a business?
Okay, so you would, an example of that would be like, okay, perfect example. I'm actually doing a workshop soon, a virtual retreat with one of the best meditation teachers out here, if you ask me. His name is Joshua Dorfman. Joshua Dorfman is a master meditation teacher. He taught meditation for Hamilton, like the big play Hamilton. He taught them. He taught for Samsung, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he also taught Pepsi. So he's a business himself. Him creating a plan, a business plan for them, is basically saying like it can come sometimes even, and I don't want to mix them too, but it can sometimes kind of even come off as a proposal, like a business proposal, in where he's like, this is how, because when you have two entities coming together, you're almost creating a new business in a way, just for the moment, even if those two entities are like, for instance, when he did the thing for Samsung, he was there, but there was like 20,000 people in front of him or something like that. It was just a bunch of people. But don't quote me on the number, but now you're saying, all right, we're creating a new service. Well, then this is how it's going to look. This is the stipulations, and this is how we work together. So when you're targeting them, you want to already kind of think in your mind, all right, they're a big company, they're going to attract people here. What do I have to give a value? And and so on. So that would be an example of, whether I'm speaking to Hamilton, whether I'm speaking to Pepsi, whether I'm speaking to Samsung, I want to see where their frame of mind is before we come together and co-create this service.
Yes.
Powerful. Good. Thanks.
Of course. So anybody else on that point, as far as who are your customers? You want to know who your customers are?
Yeah, I think it's very important, just so you can know how to sell what you've created, how to put it out there, because let's say, for instance, your brand is alcohol, right? Or the service, the product you're providing is alcohol, an alcoholic beverage. You're not going to be targeting, anyone under 21, right?
Right.
Shady. But, it's things like that. And yeah, it just gives you more direction of where you're putting your product to,
Absolutely.
I think it's very important to be clear about that.
Absolutely.
I think definitely that in terms of knowing your customers, you should know what Brother M said. You should know their pain points. You should know their why. You should know why, what keeps them up at night. Why do they want your product? And then also realize that sometimes they want your product not for the reason that they say they want your product, and understanding that. Understanding that
Ooh.
they might want your product for a reason that has nothing to do with the actual product, but that has to do with more of the brand, you know.
Mm.
And knowing that aspect so you can capitalize on that aspect. For example, we know that iPhone is not the best phone out there, but the reason that people buy the Apple phone is for the brand, is for the clout of Apple. So
Yes.
knowing your customer to that
True.
extent, knowing that they are not always buying your product for the product or service itself, but for an unseen. So always look for the unseen when you are speaking to your customer. Be very open to feedback. Be very open to constructive criticism. I mean, knowing your customer, and definitely when you know your customer, or when you're getting to know your customer,
Hmm.
know that it is malleable. Like that won't be the same customer that you will have. Like over time, that customer may change with the times. You know, you might have in this part of your in the beginning part of your business, you were attracting males aged 25 to 35, African American who worked 9 to 5, but then you get to this part of your business and it transitions to 45 to 55 entrepreneurs, African American, Caucasian, who are married. So realize that your customers don't stay stagnant. So you will have to refine and define your customers over time within your business.
Mm.
Um, and don't
Mm.
be afraid to uh, don't be afraid to be analytical, in terms of and look at the statistics and look at the numbers of who is actually purchasing, because there are times where we don't want to look at the numbers of who our customers are, because we have an ideal of who we want our customers to be. So
Right.
if I have a product and I want young African American men to purchase my product, but actually young African American women are purchasing my product. I have to know that. You have to look at the reality and be logical and rational about who your customer is, and not be as emotional as, man, like, because like we said, we had a um uh podcast, we had a shoot about mission, about purpose. If your mission or your purpose is to affect young black men, but your customers actually are young black women, you may have to acquiesce to that in terms of your
Yes.
business, and go and adjust as time goes on. But always have, okay, then how can me affecting young black women as my customers, how can that affect young black men in terms of my mission and my purpose?
Mm. Hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
That's a real value right there.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll get into branding later because marketing and branding is probably my favorite subject. And I know you too. I see you, Ra. I see you, City Ra. You know what I mean? Because without that, your business is total. Like without any form of marketing or branding, at one level, even whether it's making a sign or something like that. But when you know your customers, when you know who your customers are, you can tailor that. But this even goes a little, and I think this kind of mixes in with it because now it says evaluate your target audience. This is a perfect segue, Reverend Raw gave, because if you look at that subject of evaluating your target audience, now you're getting into demographics. Now you're getting into location. You're getting into firmographics. You're getting into certain groups. People who share the same interests and habits. You're getting into profession. Maybe you're targeting like accountants or police or lawyers, for example. Like whatever the case is, you're getting into um figuring out where that target is and where you want to land it. So City Bliss, do you have any input on that as far as evaluating the target audience?
Yes, yes, yes. I just wanted to clarify for those who don't know what like firmographics even is, this applies to like when you're selling to businesses, it includes like the size of the company, the revenue of the company, and the service of and the product that the company provides. And I think it's important to know these little details, and not even very little details, but very important details, because it like we were saying before, it just helps to refine and adjust as you go with your business, as you continue to expand. And I love what you were saying, City Ra, about being able to adjust when you realize that the target audience that you have is not what you kind of expected or what you would want and anticipated. It helps you to like just make the product a little bit better and learn how to tweak it so that you're able to even further pursue that mission, or just know how to adjust it, to adjust and move forward and not become stagnant and fall behind.
I definitely think that when you're evaluating your target audience, you have to realize that your target audience is not you.
Right.
So don't assume. Like don't like this is the reason that we're writing a business plan is so that we don't leave anything to assumptions. It's so that we become very logical and rational and realistic about how we're moving forward in terms of our business, so that we can reduce our level of risk. That's all the business plan is about. A business plan is about organizing, which is and being orderly, which is the crux and the first principle of divine masculinity. But it's also about reducing the level of risk, because we know that most businesses fail within the first 5 minutes that they begin. But if you have a business plan, you are less likely to fail. So, but just in evaluating your target audience, just don't assume. Don't assume at all, and definitely just look at. Don't be afraid to look at. This is getting into marketing. Don't be afraid to really look at who your target audience is, and not feel like you're being intrusive.
Mm-hmm.
That's powerful. That's consideration. High level consideration. Yep.
Yeah. And you're really just in evaluating target audience, like what it would be, because most people when they think of sales, they think of like some slimy like salesman trying to like get in your pockets, and it's like, nah, bro, like what, as a salesman, we actually internalize that, and that makes us less effective in what we do. But we have to know that, what, we have to have the perspective within ourselves. Like, I would be remiss not to sell this to you.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid to, within the selling process, we have this thing called prospecting. So you want to ask your customer, are you even available to purchase this product? Are you even in the market for this product right now? No? Okay, fine. Don't try to push them into the sale if they're not in the market for your product, if they don't have the right financial bracket for your product, if they're not your target. Because here's the thing, when we're so excited that we have this business and that we're selling something finally, because of course before you had your business, there are processes that you have to go. One of these processes building is a business plan. But then once you build a business plan, you're so excited that you're in front of somebody, and somebody is finally receptive to your business, you're open to selling anybody. You know what I mean? But you have to be very intentional when you're prospecting and when you're evaluating your target audience. Realize, what, this is not my target. This is not, and for me, I relate it to, and it's funny, business is related, and selling is related to dating a lot. I realize that business is related to dating, and selling is related to seducing. And if she is not, just because you have her attention doesn't mean that's what you want. You know what I'm saying? That's not your target woman. That's not your target audience. Realize who your target audience is, and don't just try to bring her to the fold just because you have their attention.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
And also, I think that when you don't know your target audience, you're really shooting blindly. And the most important part too is that when you do find your target audience, so say as the business, say you unfold as this business, you will then be able to gather data as well, which is not on this list, but is I feel is very important as well. And knowing your audience is that you have to have a database where you take it, where you're getting emails, you're getting phone numbers, you're getting you're getting you're getting all this information about them, like, and there's sites that, like, I know there was an app that gave you money if you just take pictures of your receipts all day, but before that they ask you where you're located, and where you are, and then they'll give you money for your receipts. So this alone and then what they do is they take it and they sell it to other companies' databases,
Right.
so that they can have more data on the customers and on what they're buying, so that these companies can now know where to market to.
Mm.
So just that alone, like, people, I think that sometimes they're they don't think, like, say you sell somebody a product, and after you sell them the product, they're like, oh wow, thank you, and then you say, you know what, I got something else for you, right? I got this ebook for you. All you got to do is write just give me your email, and give me your contact information, just in case, we could send you text. You can opt in for text if you like. You always seen that little box, opt in for emails or text messages. They're really asking you for your data. And
Right.
then so the ebook is not free, because ain't nothing free. They're just giving you an
Right.
exchange so that they can have you, so that they can constantly be in your reality.
Or yo, yeah, there's a free class, a free e-course, but then just all we need is your email. That's it. We just need your email.
And,
Nothing big.
and you've already pre-recorded the e-course anyway. So now your people are getting your email. You email them the e-course. You got their data, and you're utilizing a class that you no longer have to do anymore, because you already did it
Once
once
you
and
have
it's
the email,
recorded.
once you have the email, you'll be able to send whatever new products, services you have, and continuously just keep them in that loop.
And as a matter of fact, for those people who already have their businesses and entrepreneurs, there's certain websites that are out there that can help you to consistently be in their emails often. They even have text things, like text apps, like there's something called call multiplier. Um, and if you want to do the email thing, and this is game I'm giving y'all here.
Yeah,
This
I
is
was just about to
game.
say that. Yo, we're giving game. We're giving
We're
game.
giving
So we're
game
gonna get
right
more
now.
as we accumulate in resources and get the actual apps and the websites. Trust me, game's only gonna get better. But continue, King M.
But the abundant mindset already knows that there's always more to come. Then you have call multiplier. If you want for the email, you got ConvertKit,
Hmm.
CONVERT kit, which is another one that'll help you keep on the email. Now, granted, you have to pay for these services, but I also don't feel no type of way giving these out, because I know that somebody has to be on a frequency to even execute from these. You got to be on the frequency of being an entrepreneur anyway. And what is our purpose on this show is cultivating leaders. So anything of value that we can give you, we're gonna go ahead and give it to you second we get it. That's our promise to you.
Automatic facts.
That's our promise to you. So now, granted, in soon, we all have our individual courses. You know what I mean? We all have our individual courses, but you can look forward to courses from us as well in terms of building business, whether it's building a business, or whether it's dealing, in relationships with things of that nature, which that we will not talk about anymore until further episodes, because we got some surprises for y'all along the way.
Definitely, that's a fact.
Um, but for the next portion of this, we want to ask, you want to know, in creating your business plan, you want to know, what are your opportunities? Now, what is meant by what are your opportunities? Now, think about it like this: that your business has been, you have a small business, but that doesn't mean that business isn't going to grow into a large corporation. So what could possibly happen down the road, considering that your business grows, considering that your business has has become this large corporation? What what um what are some opportunities that can rise up? And so this is basically being futuristic with it. What are some opportunities that can arise? Does anybody else have some have because it's pretty clear cut, but anybody have some?
Definitely. What are the opportunities? What do you have outlined within the business plan? Is something called the growth plan. Now, within the growth plan, you are basically um, uh, having foresight in terms of if these opportunities arise, these are how I'm going to. This is how I'm going to capitalize on this opportunity because I also have this organizational infrastructure for this. So let's say your business grows very quickly, you already have the positions that need to be filled and to satisfy that demand. That's something that you would outline in a business plan. So even though you don't have it in your business right now, you'll still have, okay, so I'm going to have, if we get to this level, as we start growing within this level, these are the roles that are going to need to be fulfilled. This is the amount of capital we're going to need. These are the my different ratios. This is how I'm going to adjust my balance sheet. This is how I'm going to adjust my my income statement if we get to this level of growth. And just realizing, okay, if we scale, then will the business model have to change? Will I have to become a business model where now I have other what's the word? Basically, I have the word is escaping me right now. The word is franchise. Will this have to be kind of like, will I have to build a franchise model as opposed to the business just being a sole business? Will I have to change to that model? And having just showing that in the business plan, this is an option if the opportunities to scale arises.
Exactly. I think the key is always being prepared, being prepared. So we might have some projections that we've made, but just having those projections and being able to change and estimate, accordingly, but having that initial projection, that preparation is very key because you don't want to get stuck. Like say the company starts growing, your business starts growing, you get to a certain point now, you feel overwhelmed with what services needed to be provided. Like,
and the thing is, King, this was beautiful about that. We've seen it happen, bro.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where like the business kept going and all of a sudden they're like, yo, pre-orders is out. Like, no, we're not taking any more. People are like in the comments like, yo, and I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen where like they're sold out and people and the demand is there. People are asking, they're like, no, well, we're still marketing, but we don't have any more inventory. And it's like, what happened? It's just so
marketing without the inventory is some of the best way to get money and not to get more inventory. But that's one of the best ways to get more inventory if you ain't got it.
Shout out! I want to say shout out to Dad Grace.
Yeah, right.
I should have said shout out to Dad Grace.
Man, that's another one right there.
Yeah, that's another one. Him. Shout out to my man. Yeah, how he flipped those board games was crazy.
Yeah, and like I said, we must continue to honor the leaders amongst us. You know what I mean? Of course, us as leaders as well. We must continue to honor those other leaders that are out there that are maybe on a different, not high or low, but just on a different level, or that are leading multitudes of people. You know what I mean? Because I believe in everybody in this podcast right now, and everybody who's viewing this podcast. I believe that everybody has a leader within them. And that and all that has to be done is a refinement of knowledge to help us to expand, because knowledge is that which gives you access. Without knowledge, you don't have any access.
And willingness to learn.
Absolutely, and that willingness to learn. Thank you, because without any willingness to learn, you will not receive any knowledge that is of value because you ain't willing.
First place, you know what I mean? And definitely, and being an example or finding an example of a leader, and you don't have to go far. You know what I mean? Look at a walk into any supermarket and look for the manager. You know what I mean? Walk into look at the the heads of your family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Look at there are leaders everywhere. There are leaders everywhere. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
television. I mean, it don't turn on television. But just I'll just say it to say that there are examples of leaders everywhere within your community. You know what I mean? So just always look for it's there. It's definitely there. And always don't be prepared. Be prepared to pay homage and not be afraid to pay homage.
Right. And I was gonna say, and say you're not a leader yourself, you're right now, or like you don't necessarily see yourself in that position, because some people don't want to be leaders, and that's okay, but they still want to be a part of the cause. They still want to be a part of what's helping leaders. So if you're not going to be a leader, it would only make sense that if you want to be a part of the cause, that you would give to those who are the leaders. Like you would contribute either time, energy, finances, buy a product that can help you and the leader themselves so that they can continue pushing the agenda forward. So
that's why as a leader, you definitely need to have a large vision, because your vision has to be large enough to include thousands.
yes.
You know, like you can't if I'm a follower and I want to follow a strong leader, I want to know if his vision includes me. You know, because even though I'm a follower, it doesn't mean I don't have vision. It means I have limited vision, but it doesn't mean I have vision, period. So as a leader, you definitely do have to have a large, inclusive direction in which you see yourself move.
Right. You want to have depth of vision. You know, it's like I can
Depth
hold
of
up an
vision.
acorn and ask you, what do you see? You know,
Write that down,
I
y'all.
see oak
Like
tree.
I
Somebody
was
said,
gonna say.
I see houses. You know, I see a forest. You know, it all depends on your depth of vision.
Depth of vision. You know, they say that an underachiever, right? Somebody who doesn't really, or like a regular mind, right? Not an underachiever, but like a normal mind, would, when you say, oh, like look at this, when you mention a clock, what do you see? And the person will be like, oh, well, a clock, okay, well, it got it's like a circle with like hands and numbers on it, right? And then they say that the overachiever, once you say a clock, they be like, what kind of clock are you talking about now? Are you talking about one of them round clocks? Are you talking about a grandfather clock? They're saying, well, it's about it got 12 numbers on it. You know what I mean? It's about such and such inches in diameter, this way, that way. So they're thinking in 3D.
Yes.
This is depth of vision. This is somebody who's thinking in 3D. Like when if you want a house, you don't just think, oh yeah, I want a house. You gotta know what the blades of grass look like in front of the lawn and what it smells like. This is an overachiever, somebody who
To manifestation.
Because you start thinking in 4D, because you're like, okay, what time zone is the clock in?
exactly.
You know, is it
Exactly.
even in this what is in a what is time? Is that clock actually telling the time now? Is that what perception is that clock what is the perception of that clock in time? You know what I mean? But just saying, as being an overachiever, there are definitely different levels. There are 3D, there are 4D, but that it all comes back to that depth of vision. I love that, King Bliss. Depth of vision. Thank you.
Depth of vision. That's why I said write that down, y'all. Like y'all, this ain't part of the list, but y'all can write that down on the side for sure if you take notes. Okay, so let's continue a little bit more forward, because I do want to finish all these by the time it's over. But understand the competition. So how can we explain understanding the competition, y'all? Like, what's the importance of understanding the competition? And this includes, like, excuse me, who your direct competitors are and who your indirect competitors are. Like, those selling the same products as you, or like a similar product just like you are, or those whose markets like overlap yours.
Yeah, definitely. And understanding the competition, you have to understand, like, yeah, who was first, like who was in this positioning first, and then how can I relate my brand to their brand? You know what I mean? Or what is the I think to understand your competition, you have to understand what your positioning is. When you understand who your competition is, you know that, okay, so you know, if I want to get into toothpaste, I know I'm quote unquote not against, because it's understanding your competition, not competing against your competition. Is, yo, you know what? If I get into toothpaste, I understand. All right, I'm in position to Colgate. You know what I mean? If I want to get the headphones, I know I'm in position to Dre Beats. You know, if I get into computers, I know I'm in position to IBM. If I get into rental, auto rental, I know I'm in position to Hertz or Avis. What is your understanding your competition will give you more of a lift. When I say lift, and it all ties back into marketing. Right now, the marketplace is overcrowded.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know, because anybody can get in. It's a low threshold for someone to get in, as opposed to years before, because now we are within the digital world. So now that we have an overcrowded marketplace, you could ignore the competition before. Before, you could ignore the competition and just act like you're in a bubble when you have no competition. You are just this brand. We are now in a marketplace where there are so many people within the marketplace now. You have to understand where you are positioned, who is at the top, and how you can position yourself in terms of them.
I think it's very important when understanding, you know, who's your competition, to know what problems you can fix, you know, because there may be another service or a company providing a similar service to you. And let's say, you know, looking at statistics, and you realize that their customers aren't satisfied with this aspect of their business, then this is something you can improve upon.
Yes.
So knowing these details just helps you elevate your positioning, you know?
Yes.
To more of an advantage.
Absolutely. You know, there's you know, in understated competition, I love that City Ross said something. He said, you know, maybe not like you're going against your competition, because I feel like when you're dealing with business, competition takes on a new definition. When you're dealing with business, it's not competition like you're running against somebody in a race, though there are elements of that. It's more who's in your realm and who's in your area, because you have to make sure that you know, because if you give all your energy behind what somebody else is doing, then you might end up promoting them. Like I seen an ad that said don't eat, it was like something like don't drink Starbucks, and I immediately wanted like a caramel macchiato.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I don't even remember who the hell was what commercial that was. So instead of see, if you do competition in business in that way, the way you would do it in other forms of experience, then you might end up actually giving more energy to that thing that you're trying to take away from. You know, so it's very important to know that when you're speaking about competition, you're really just talking about those people who are in a similar lane to you. And your real goal, though, we'll get into this in marketing, because, you know, I could just feel it coming, is that the real goal is to just like create your own lane, like take everybody and just move everybody over, because you've created a new lane. But we'll get into that, inshallah.
Who I think did that perfectly in understanding their competition and capitalizing off that was Nicki Minaj. I feel like when she first came into the game, what she did was how she got her clout, or how she got her first limelight, was when she went after Lil Kim. So she understood who was in her realm. She understood who was in her bracket. She understood, okay, you know what? Who am I most? This is who I am individually, but in this bracket of hip hop, we have Trina and we have Lil Kim. And Trina is a little bit more sexualistic, but Lil Kim is as well, but she has more of that lyrical. So she understood the competition and said, you know what? Let me quote unquote attack Lil Kim. Lil Kim responded, and then that brought Nicki Minaj up, because everybody said, yo, who's this little chick attacking Lil Kim? And who's this person that Lil Kim is responding to? And
Right.
so, boom, that put Nicki Minaj on because Nicki Minaj understood her competition and capitalized on that. And, it's history from there.
Absolutely. And here's where it kind of went wrong for her as well, because then when Cardi B came out, she started, like, I really don't know the situation, so I can't really speak, but I knew that there was a point online where she was just like, it felt as if instead of like pushing Cardi up, she saw some sort of competition and she started going online on some like remember who the queen is, remember who this, and it just felt like somebody was falling trying to grab onto something,
Mm-hmm.
like trying to hold on to the throne or something. And it's not like that. Like, what makes you great in this in this subject is understanding when there is a when there are people around you that are kind of doing something, and like empowering them, or like not even giving them that sort of attention if you're still trying to run in a race against them, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
But like, she ended up giving, just like we said that commercial, she ended up giving more attention to Cardi, blowing Cardi up even further, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But that just came up because you had mentioned that example,
No,
which is
yeah, definitely. Understand your understand. It all comes back to understanding your competition because you understand who am I in competition with and who am I not in competition.
yes.
You know what I mean? Who? And it's not to say you are lower, but it's to say that you have some work to do. But I do understand that you will be taking quote unquote a lot of my game. So I understand that there will need to be more innovation on my side. Just I know you're watching. It's just a level of attention and a level of awareness and a level of what King Bliss said earlier, preparation. I'm prepared. I understand my competition, so I'm prepared for when people start coming in and imitating, because imitation is the biggest form of flattery. You know what I
True.
mean? So, if I'm Gary V, I know there's going to be a Gary B.
You know, I
Meaning.
told you I saw a post that said less Gary V, more Garvey.
Yes.
Ah,
I was like,
Yeah.
wow. I was like,
Right.
oh, I love y'all. But all right, so next we have the idea of uh, uh build a simple financial plan.
mm,
Now now simple financial plan at first. So this includes costs to make or buy products. What is it going to cost? Whether that could be time, energy, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're looking at your costs. Whether it's cost for labor and manufacturing, including raw materials, you want to look at that. Staff costs, especially for service, for service businesses, distribution, marketing costs, um, and fixed and variable overhead fees that may arise. You want to take all these things into consideration. You want to take all of these things into consideration to make sure that first off, if you're starting up and you're starting it up, because there's a myth that you need money to start a business. That's not true, but maybe that we'll save for another conversation. But uh, if you are starting a business that requires a facility or something of that nature, you want to factor in all of the finances that are going to be necessary. And not only that, but you also want to factor in how much you will be making or could be making, and how it would be able to sustain the overhead fees, the products and other things. So does anybody else have any input on that?
I definitely feel that what's most important is cash flow.
Hmm.
Looking at how does the money circulate through your business. What is your overhead, and overhead just being what is the price that it takes to have your business in operation. Because what a lot of people think is like profit, 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 and it's like nah. Like once you get profit, understand that there is a price to continue being in business, and realizing that okay, that is when you do need to have knowledge of the law of circulation and how can money continue circulating within, okay, I have to purchase the inventory. I have to pay this portion of my team. I have to pay this freelancer every month to create my ads. What is it going to take? Have these financial statements in order, and I'll drop value and say that the easiest way to figure out how to do that is that a lot of very large companies have their balance sheet and their income statements for free. They drop them quarterly. So what I learned from shout out to the Wall Street Trapper is that what I began doing was I would once they dropped their quarterly financial statements, I would go and I would look at look at their different ratios and their different expenses, and I would just get a sense of how does Apple operate? You know what I mean? Like, because if I can look and discern how much profit and do this and start doing things too, is that start calculating it by yourself before you even get to the end, because they do it for you, but that's what your mind will start doing over time. So definitely just start looking at public financial statements of very large companies, and then you can create your own. In comparison, your financial statement will seem simple. You know what I mean? After you've looked at those large organizational financial statements.
Powerful.
I think an important thing to note too is sacrifice. When it comes to circulating that revenue, circulating that income, and making sure that you can sustain your business. If you're just looking to make a profit and not willing to reinvest into your business, then there's no chance that you'll be able to, maintain longevity, and I think, it's really important to make sure that your focus is always on the customer and always providing better service, and to reinvest in yourself, even because I feel like your business, and the service you provide is really you. It's an expression of you. So reinvesting in your business is really in reinvesting in yourself. It's growing yourself, cultivating yourself, building yourself. You're continuously changing because you're learning new ways to provide and better ways to provide that service, so that it just perpetuates, which will naturally cause longevity.
And thank you for saying that, City Grace, because when you come from the mindset of someone who is not an entrepreneur into someone who is an entrepreneur, the way you allocate funds has to be different now. Because when you first get your first money, your first bit of money for your business, you already have to have the mindset, like you get your first couple sales. That mindset that's for reinvestment. That is not for a vegan burrito. Not for real.
Bro, that's not for your new Timbs, bro.
That's not for your new Timbs.
That's not for the new coat, bro. That's not to take your feminine out on a date, bro. That's not to go get those that iPhone X that you've been looking at for a year, bro. I mean, and I feel you. That's not for your Hulu subscription, Netflix subscription. You feel what I'm saying? So now you can hit that Netflix and chill. Yo, brother, I'm talking to you right now. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm talking to myself.
Right.
So
because I am you, bro. Don't do it, man. I'm telling you. I know it's like you said, sacrifice the discipline. That's why my whole expression changed when you said sacrifice, because I said facts, bro. Your shoes might be looking crazy for about 6 months, bro. For about 2 seasons, you might not be getting no new shoes, bro. And that's a fact. People on the train looking at your shoes like, bro, why is his joints is grimy, but they don't know that you got a whole success, and you might have a successful business, but out in reality, you might be looking crazy, bro. Like, damn, son, you ain't upgrade your outfits in like a year, bro. You good? Like, yo, you need a loan or something? It's like, nah, man. Like, I've been reinvesting in my business, bro. But that's the real talk, discipline of it. You know what I mean? Like,
discipline is, and that's why discipline is key, especially within the leadership qualities. Yo, if y'all didn't see our first episode, definitely go and check that out as far as the leadership qualities, and then also understanding your purpose before you even start a business. Because if you don't know your purpose, then the purpose of the business is not clear either. And remember, the purpose is the reason that you exist to serve. And then it's also tapping back into what City Bliss said. He had mentioned something about like Reverend Ra also said, City Ra, about sacrifice. Now, I think we said this before, but sacrifice, once again, for those who don't remember, sacrifice, people, there's a negative connotation around the word sacrifice.
Mm,
And you know what sacrifice really means is giving something of lesser value for something of greater value.
right.
Like you giving something something that is of lesser value that is already eventually going to give a greater turnaround in the end. So, for instance, like those who grew up in the Christian tradition, right? They say that Jesus gave the ultimate sacrifice to where he died for the sins of humanity, right? He came in, and this is introducing the spiritual aspect into it. He came in and he died, and though that death, and this is in the Christian tradition, though that death was horrible and was so hard to bear and things of that nature, the benefit that the rest of the world reached within the Christian tradition, the best that was
Forgive.
forgiveness of their sins.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
that's why they say he died for their sins. So depending on, it doesn't matter what spiritual background you follow. It's just that is a story that can show the power of the definition of sacrifice, giving up something that's of lesser value for something that's going to be much larger in the end.
And I want to also say as well that we're touching on remember at the end of the day we're touching on creating a simple financial statement, but realizing that okay, it's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take I'm going to have to think differently in terms of my cash flow, but then
Mm,
also realize I have to sometimes take off extra expenses that have nothing to do with money so that my financial statements can flow. For example, you might have to, hey yo, you might have to let that feminine go, bro. You know, she might
mm,
have a
It's a
certain.
lot.
mm.
I'm saying like it may get to that point where my financial statements, right? What there's a you see that for it to flow most cohesively, that money that you would be spending on that has to be flowing out, and that's just me just speaking realistically, just as a young man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
a good
Absolutely.
reference for that is what's the book? The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yep.
It definitely speaks on that aspect of like just noticing the things that you're spending money on. Like, what can you spend less on? Do you need that right now?
Absolutely.
Are you willing to sacrifice having just one pair of shoes instead of being able to buy that second or third? Blue.
City Blues up in here, by the way. City Blue just entered it now. Brr, 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 brr. Yo, wait till we get sound effects. Brr, 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 brr.
I'm magically teleported, man. Threes emphasis on the threes eternally.
Yeah, you already know, brother. So
Great to have you in here, bro.
it's always a pleasure to have you in, my brother. And we're breaking down right now. As you already know, we're breaking down the 9 steps of creating a business plan. And we just got through the idea of building a simple financial plan, making sure that the finances are in place. And what I did want to add into was the idea of making sure that you have a business account. Like, make sure that your business account is set up so that you can reinvest it, and that it doesn't get confused with the money that you're using for everyday
Mm,
Yes.
expenses. So if you're serious about it,
Yeah.
companies have accounts.
that is true.
So I don't know, City Blue, if you have anything you want to add in. I know you just came in, but
Well, I would say just give him a moment to definitely settle as you move into the next question, King.
okay, no problem.
I'm cool, King. City Rod, appreciate you. Yeah. I just want to further elaborate on what you just stated, pertaining to the business account. I definitely feel that is actually an excellent business mindset to have. So this way you have everything in order. So as far as the assets, the liabilities, the necessities of what will be needed, the tools, the materials, how many workers will you have working with you for your brand, the organization, the setting, the goal, just have all of the practical, logical tasks and aspects in order to where it is a cohesive flow for everyone, for all the parties that is involved in it. So I definitely feel that's a good idea. And this way, once again, you won't get your personal account mixed up with your business account. And then let's say, God forbid, you're taking out money from your business account that you know you shouldn't be taking out to, let's say, pay some miscellaneous bill or some miscellaneous errand or whatever you got to take care of with that money, you know, using it for something else. So that definitely is a good mindset. And then this way you can also discipline yourself to know that this is only for this only solely, you know, and any, depending on, you know, the business and the intention of the organization or brand, you know, whether it's a joint account as far as a collective account, or if it's basically, let's say you're the head owner of the account, you know, that certain business transactions are confirmed by the group as a collective. As opposed to just the that's running or that owns the account.
I love
Absolutely. Yeah. And that could even mean I'm thinking about getting an accountant, and you know, it could lead to so many places. But I do want to get into the next question here. And once again, the moment that we've all been waiting for. Include an outline marketing plan. Okay, Ra, I see you. City Ra. So here we see including an outline marketing plan. It's we have your pricing and how will your price you know, how would your price the end product, you know, and how does your product or service fit into the market? That's positioning, which I'm gonna let City Ross speak about too. But also a promotion. You know, what channels will you use to attract it and communicate? You know, to attract and communicate with your customers, and also how much do you expect to make per item sold? This is all marketing as well, and also the place. So, like, what are your sales outlets? Like, so where will it be sold? You know, or you know, what are the basically what are the outlets? So you know, does anyone have any input on that in regards to marketing? And because marketing is basically like I guess I would say like getting people to buy. How are you
that
gonna market it?
like marketing is really imprinting into someone's subconscious mind. You know, it is using that principle of auto suggestion that was talked about in Think and Grow Rich, and applying that to an overall business strategy, and realizing that you have a strategy and you have tactics, and that tactics are within the strategy. You know, not to get that uh, not to get that mixed up, but what are the strategies that you're using to imprint it to someone's subconscious mind in terms of, all right, you have audio, you have visual, you have written, realizing, okay, what is the best? For example, if I'm on LinkedIn, I know that LinkedIn is most tuned into written. I'm gonna have written on LinkedIn. I'm gonna have written on Facebook. Then on IG, I'm gonna be using IG Reels. Within the IG Reels, I'm always also going to have on my story, I'm going to have swipe up. You know what I mean? So people can swipe up within my story so they can get to my website. I'm going to have landing pages for my website.
Right.
But these are all tactics. This is not the overall strategy. Is how am I going to get them to my website? Okay, because, and then also realizing that there's a difference between marketing and sales. Right, marketing is basically I am generating leads, but then sales is I am giving you the avenue and persuading you to buy, or showing you the benefits of why you want to buy. Marketing shows that as well, but sales takes that extra step into the purchase of the product.
You know, really quick, I just because as you were speaking just now, City Ra, like, and you said branding was you know, imprinting you know, yourself into somebody's subconscious, getting that mental real estate, if you will, mental real estate. That's a gem right there. Um, uh, I in my mind, I said, well, I was taught slightly differently because I was taught that that's branding. Like when you brand somebody, you would brand it into their sub. In terms of branding in a company, you would brand it into their subconscious. Or if they brand animals, they brand it by. So but what one of my teachers, once you were saying that, one of my teachers, I remember that they said branding is the new marketing, especially in the social media age. And I was like, so that connects. I'm like, that really connects because if branding means setting your point of difference and showing, like, listen, like we just said, everybody has this product, but this is how I'm different.
Yeah.
For instance, like, my name is Emerald Stone, the walking crystal. And I think I said this before. I always say that there's nobody come up to you and tell you that they are the walking crystal.
Fact.
Because your mind of, if you know me already, or if you're familiar with my brand, you're gonna say, no, there's no way, because I know the walking crystal, and that's Emerald Stone. It's the same way somebody could come up to me with like a turban as well and be like, yo, I'm Red Lotus 666 777. You know what I mean? Emphasis on the 7. You know what I mean? I'd be like, yo, nah, it don't work like that.
Straight faith.
Yo, you know what's crazy? I was actually gonna cross-reference myself too, like, with what you said, because it's like, and just to add on to what you're saying real quick, City it's like, yo, once you have your originality and your blueprint and design, and you have the self-awareness of self, and then you can exude it in this external simulated holographic reality and properly navigate and master how to not only articulate yourself, but to basically, in a matter of speaking, sell yourself.
Yeah.
You know, then, like, you're the original, you're the prototype. So, you know, the people that are already aware of your brand or of your vibration or of your existence in totality, they'll know, like, yo, this is just an imposter.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Red Lotus.
It's almost like when you say branding is the new marketing, it's like I don't need to be superior. I just need to be unique, or
Yes.
show my point of difference.
Yes, because that was the definition we had of branding, which was just setting your point of difference and then knowing how to highlight your set of difference. Immediately in the social media age, they love different. They love it. They love it. They love it. They love it. So if you can, you know, I'm a teacher, but what makes me so different from this teacher that's teaching or this educator that's teaching? What makes me so different? You know, and then once you find out, and this requires, as City Lotus said, it requires some sort of self-awareness. Now, what are some ways that we can market? We have to then encapsulate that and then show it out loud through visuals. We can use visuals are probably top right now. It's
Definitely.
sounds, you know what I mean? Creating vibes and situations for people, utilizing words that, just like City Raw had brought, certain positive trigger words that will help people to incline them to buy. You know, that can work toward marketing as well. You have social media marketing. You have if you call somebody, that's telemarketing.
Yes.
You know, you have as a matter of fact, over here, if I can pull this up here, which I got from one of my marketing classes, you have text marketing, where you're literally just texting somebody to market, you know, to market over to them. You have
because you know most people are on their phones.
Yes.
So it's usually utilizing things that are within people's minds already, like the negativity bias, which is the bias that your mind is most acclimated to things negative in your environment, which is why the news is so which is so attractive to people, and the newspapers have these big headlines, and people are like, why are they always people are doing so much good out in the world. Why are they showing these killings and these murderings? And his mom just got hit by this car and left her 3-year-old son. Like, why are they showing all this? Because they know that is what attracts people, negativity. So in utilizing that for your business, that doesn't mean you have to be negative. It just means that when you're marketing, be very aware of the words that you are using. For example, if you said, and I talked about this earlier, Billionaire PA was like, I clicked the video on Billionaire PA's IG because the video said traditional marketing sucks. And I was like, oh, why does it suck? Like, you know what I mean? But if he would have said, yo, this is why you shouldn't use traditional marketing, that's less attractive to me. It's not activating my negativity bias. For example, what we'll do is also when you're marketing, don't be afraid of conflict, because conflict is something that attracts people. You know what I'm saying? That's why in the hip hop game, a lot of people, a lot of rappers and artists, they create fake beef because it actually creates more attention from where they're coming from. You know, for example, I mean, there are plenty, but if you just did MGK versus Eminem, you know what I mean? Something like that really put MGK on the map because he was able to activate that negativity bias and use that in his marketing of his music and his brand.
You know, that, like they say, controversy creates cash. So even in that will be an example of you know, an online marketing or social media marketing. And you also have because you really want to get people engaged. That's the goal. You want to get people engaged so that they can buy. Marketing is just getting people to buy, like in one way or another, and kind of knowing, pardon, your analytics. And then so there's another form of marketing called in-person marketing. That's more like, yo, I got this product, you heard? Like word of mouth type. Like, yo, I got this product. You see me, we talking, you talk, you know, and like we said, you talk to somebody on the phone, that's telemarketing. Or even some of the best marketing now is like when you're creating graphics now, because you're in, and this is kind of marketing and branding. The marketing and branding are like brother and sister. Like they're like one. When you look at graphics, it's an artistic representation of your brand. So your graphics shouldn't look like you just threw them together at any point. Your graphics should be as refined as your brand is, because your graphics are speaking your brand to people. If you want to do luxury, you gotta come out like luxury. If you want to do natural, you gotta come out like now. You gotta use green. You gotta use like grass and stuff. You have to make sure that when you're creating your graphics, that one, you want them to be as clean to the human eye as possible. Another thing in creating graphics, you never want to do, this is what they taught us a few years back, is that you never want to do one letter on top of the other letter on top of the other letter when you're writing a word, because the human eye doesn't read like that. Because our eyes are horizontal to each other, like next to each other. Then the human eye reads generally from either left to right or right to left, depending on the language. So you want to make sure that they can see it quick, just in case they're running somewhere and they can just catch it in their subconscious really quick. You want to make sure that when you're doing your, because you have to understand that over 70 to 75% of your product will sell just on its graphic alone. Like some people, or not its graphic, but its design, on its design. Like just even the graphic and the product design will make people, and especially statistically, and this is just statistically, all power to the divine feminine, but even if you're targeting divine feminine, if you're targeting the female, they're known to be more emotional buyers. Like they'll straight up statistically will buy if it looks pretty. If it looks pretty.
That's
and even men, the divine masculine will buy it as well if it looks like something that they want to be in the frequency of. But if it just looks like you just threw it together, your graphics or your design, then the type of frequency of people that you want to get there may not exactly reach your product.
And realize when you're marketing, you're not marketing to everybody. You're marketing to a niche within the market. You're being very specific, and know that, let's say you marketed to 100 people, you're only going to have a certain amount of engagement from that. So let's say you market it to 100 people seeing your ad, know that 30 people might click on the ad, but then 10 people are actually going to go and engage and buy your product. Right. You know what I mean? So you definitely need to know your ratios and marketing, realizing your marketing is really telling a story. You are crafting a narrative about your business. You are crafting, that's why it's, even in creating City Sultan, our narrative is that we are inner city spiritualists, speaking about the intercorrelated dynamics of leadership, divine masculinity, and also spirituality, and just what is the narrative behind that? What is the, even in studying us right now, when you look at each of us within our angles of perception perspective of even this call, for me, I have Ra in the background. Emerald has on the emeralds. He has the emerald couch. You know what I mean? You have Bliss. He's blissed out. He got the flowers in the background. You know what I mean? Blue. He got the art in the background. Sometimes, yeah, exactly. He got the root chakra bam in the background. So it's all, even our visual, our graphics, and even in this call is a representation of our brand. You know what I mean? And we're very conscious of that as entrepreneurs at all times.
Yes.
Yo, real quick, I just wanted to further elaborate on like the marketing and how we was talking about, as far as, like, let's say for instance, for example, you have Wise chips, Lay's chips. They come out with these new flavors, and the way they articulate the bag externally is to capture your attention. Like, let's say they have buffalo chicken, habanero, fiery, spicy nacho chip. You get what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, this some new shit. Hold on, let me see what this shit is about. You know what I'm saying? So people eat with their eyes as well. So even saying that to say people buy with their eyes. If it's eye appealing, if it's attractive to the eye, then off impulse, people will buy depending on who it is, and if they feel like the urge per se to buy that product. Right. Even to further elaborate on that, another example is when Super Bowl time comes, like I said, like Wise or Lay's or other chip brands will have limited edition, like, let's say, let me see, like a special guacamole dip that like a theme that resonates and reflects the Super Bowl. Basically, they'll have those particular flavors that resonates with that, and it's another form of marketing. I just wanted to add that in.
Absolutely. And also you have the example Coca-Cola, right? When Coca-Cola first started, they were ahead of the cola, and then Pepsi came in, and Pepsi was number 2. And in marketing and in branding, there's only room for 1 and 2, and like number 3 people don't really like. Third was like our Royal Crown, RC Cola, which is not even like, it's still around, but it's not living like Coca-Cola and Pepsi is today.
Not at all.
But what 7-Up did around that time when Pepsi, and they was like, how the heck can we beat them? Pepsi and Coca are on the top. They actually started branding the Uncola. So if Pepsi Cola and Coca-Cola was the 2 colas, they became the Uncola. And they created a whole new lane
positioning
within the branding. Well, exactly, which is positioning. So they put in a whole new position. Check this out. So I know we said that we would stay within time, and that we didn't want to rush and stuff like that. But I did want to make sure that we did give all 9
yes
to the audience. But after City Rock says what City Rock got to say, because I can see. Did you want to add something?
No, I mean, we'll have a entire course or entire
package
podcast about marketing in itself. So I definitely want to move forward.
Okay, for sure. Okay, so next, we have the last 2, which is planning your operations. Now, planning your operations goes back to the groundwork. It includes all business processes such as manufacturing, packaging, and it includes trying to cover certain departments, including sales and customer service. So pardon, make sure that your operations are up to par, and that your and that everything is in line with that. If I think that one's simple too, but if anybody wants to elaborate on that, you definitely can. Uh,
No,
I think
I feel like that's. I mean, if anybody does want to elaborate on that, that's fine. Plenty of operations. I think that's simplistic enough. But definitely, planning your distribution channels as well. I think that also ties into that as well. How are you going to conduct your business on a day to day? And do you have the right? This segues perfectly. Do you have the right team to?
yes,
I was just gonna
that's number
elaborate
9.
on that. I was just gonna elaborate on that actually.
Or
Go
what,
ahead.
on the right team?
Yeah, yeah. All right. So basically, what I was gonna say, not to interject, is that once you know your team, for instance, Rob is, a people person. He has the gift of gab, to put him in telemarketing, make sure he's on the phone. Let's say you got Jill. She's very empathetic to the team. She buy the team Dunkin' Donuts in the morning and the rising. She take care of the team. Then, you have her in a department to where she's, engaging with them directly. So what I'm conveying is that place people, once you know their specialty and you know their strengths, just place them where they belong. This
Mm-hmm.
way everyone will be happy and everyone is utilizing their talent, skills, and abilities in the most effective manner possible.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And while it's,
Having having the
playing,
right team. So write that down, y'all. That's number 9. Having the right team. You were gonna say, City Bliss?
yeah, I was gonna say, and while everyone's playing their positions, they have their role. It's important that each and every individual within that team shares the vision, is driven towards that vision, because you might have some people that come into your business and who are on your team, and if they're not sharing the same vision as you, then things are not going to sync up. Things are most likely going to fall apart, and we've seen this happen many times over, where people get into an alliance and an agreement, and soon down the line you realize that people had other intentions. So it's important to make sure that everyone has a and clear understanding of what the vision and what the mission is, and how to go forward
Absolutely.
cohesively.
Yeah, I
Facts.
agree. I
Would,
agree.
Definitely, I feel like you need to, in creating your team, you need to know how they learn.
Mhm.
If they are a visual, a kinesthetic learner,
Yes.
if they are a audible learner, you also need to know um, what is their what type of personality types do they have? You know what I mean? Are you more or introvert, or you more of an extrovert?
Mhm.
They're also um, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are
Mhm.
your different thresholds? Because we all have certain degrees of threshold and degrees of expertise, but what is your threshold for that?
yes.
And right now, I'm actually within this book called Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. It actually has a list of factors to consider in terms of having a team around you. Give me one moment to actually, and that's what I've actually been looking for, because it's an extremely comprehensive list
Mhm.
of factors that you need. So excuse me while I find that list.
Take it
And,
time.
and, and it's funny too, because I had it open to the page, and then what it did was, as we were talking, it flipped away from that page. So I'm just, no, yeah, right there.
Got it.
Universal plan
And
tricks.
then it's like, and you're doing the shoot. It's like I always call it. You make oranges out of you make lemonade out of oranges. So maybe it wasn't time to actually share that, and I'll share that at a later time. You know what I mean? But definitely, what I said before, and realize that you have different, you have believers, people who believe in your dream. You have achievers, you have refiners, people who refine your concepts, and think about, okay, what level? Who are you within? Are you somebody who is an achiever? Who you achieve with me, inspire me, or do you believe in me, or do you help me refine my ideas? So I believe that's very important.
Thank you, y'all. Thank y'all so much, everybody. All of the Sultans. Oh my goodness, this has been such a powerful and informative episode here. So, if anybody has any questions in regard to business, and starting your business plan, you can definitely reach out to us, at any time, and we'll be able to assist you with the best as we can, for sure. We want everyone to know that is by City Sultan, we're not just faces on the screen, or sounds in the podcast, or voices in the podcast. We're actually people who work out in the within the city to help other people grow. We're cultivating leaders as much as we can, whether we're in the podcast or out of it. So feel free. I think Reverend Ra, I think he was saying that his phone was dying. So it's perfect timing, because that's the end
Yeah.
of the episode. So without further
Yeah.
ado, if you would like to give the last announcements, City Bliss,
Yes, yes.
go for it.
Yeah. I miss the strum,
Tung,
City
tung, tung,
tune.
tung, tung. I got it. Tung, 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 tung.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. Appreciate y'all, man. But this has been, another episode of City Sultan. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, this conversation tonight. We tapped into, the 9 steps to building a successful and profitable business plan, and we really dove into some great, 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 great points there. And I'm looking forward to continuing on this, this journey. So everyone, thank you for tuning in.
City Salute.
City salute.
Dude.